right. Hello, everybody. Sorry, some technical difficulties, but thanks for bearing with me. So my name is Shelby. I am a yoga affiliate with CSDS, and I'm also a licensed mental health counselor and certified yoga teacher, and I work over at University Health and Counseling Services. Thank you so much for being here and for making time to practice on your mat today. Learning as we go, so hopefully the lighting is a bit better for you today. Also, funny story, totally forgot that last week I was like, you'll need a belt, and then we never used it. But FYI, if at any point during the practice today or in the future, or if you go back to do the class from last week, a belt can be useful if, for example, you extend your legs out long in front of you and maybe want to fold forward and reach for them. If your hamstrings are a bit tight, that can be nice. So just FYI, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. So for today, you'll need 2 books or blocks, a blanket, a pillow or a bolster. I'm trying to get into the habit of using a pillow. And then, dress in layers, grab some socks if you need them. If you don't have your props with you, you can go grab them and meet us. Just to give you a quick overview. So the style of yoga that we'll be doing going forward, and each time we practice together, is yin yoga. And yin yoga is a style of yoga that focuses on the connective tissues in the body. And so we are stressing parts of our body, the fascia, the ligaments, the joints, the cartilage. And by stressing them, we are making them more resilient and healthy. So it parallels, interestingly enough, basically what's going on right now. Everybody is feeling a tremendous amount of stress. Maybe, I don't need to presume, but the majority of the world is in survival mode, and it's been very intense for most of us. And not to discount all of the horrific things that have happened, but keeping that in mind as well, all of these experiences, and especially what's happening right now, is boosting our resiliency. And so this parallels the yin practice, where we are coming into a shape, and I'll guide you through it, but we'll find a shape and we'll find our edge in that shape. And that's usually a 4 or 5 out of 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very uncomfortable, 1 being like I could fall asleep in this. But we'll come into a shape and find a sensation of discomfort somewhere in the body, specifically a target area that I might mention to you while you're in the shape. And then once we find that area of sensation, we hold. So we hold while experiencing a consistent amount of stress or pressure, compression, tension somewhere in the body, again, in that specific target area. And then holding for time, what happens is that those connective tissues in the body begin to shift and move in a way that we aren't normally targeting them. The stress allows them to move, and slowly, because these aren't things that can be stretched really quickly. So for example, if you think about braces, right? If you wiggle a tooth back and forth really fast, it's gonna fall out. It's not gonna move. But if you apply a constant pressure with a wire and brackets, the teeth then begin to shift. So basically, yin yoga is braces in action. But anyway, I'll invite you to engage in as many postures as you'd like. This is your practice, so do what makes sense for you. Do what's most comfortable for you. You know your body best. If you need to just lay on your mat the whole time, that's totally okay. Feel free to put on some ambient music. I'm not sure if you can hear mine, but I've got the speaker just under the laptop, which is propped up on a chair. But take care of yourself. Take a break if you need to. If at any point you're in a posture and you're holding it and it's too intense, please come out of it and do what's best for you. Okay? So excited to be practicing with you today. I wish I could see your faces. So to start, we'll go ahead and begin in child's pose. And you could potentially bring a blanket underneath your knees if you'd like. And there will be a couple of options here. So one would be taking the knees a bit wide, bringing the toes together behind you, sitting back toward your heels. If you find that your hips are far away from your heels as you bend over, bringing your blanket or a pillow underneath your seat against your heels can be a nice way to support the hips and alleviate some of the pressure. So you'll sit back toward your heels. You could also bring the knees close together. This is going to support the torso a bit more. And your arms can be long in front of you. Maybe forehead rests on the ground. You could also bring your block or a book underneath your forehead, resting your head on the block or book. You could wrap your arms around you so that the palms face up, allowing the shoulders to just kind of melt and hunch forward. Wherever you are, you want the hips to be moving towards the heels, so the hips are really heavy. Your torso is melting over your thighs. If you have your knees wide, maybe the torso is melting in between your thighs. Wherever you are, ensure that you have enough space to breathe in your midsection. And fidget as much as you need to for these first few moments. And then allow yourself to find some stillness as you can. And just so that you can hear me, I'm going to come out of this shape a little bit, but if you'd like, I'll encourage you to stay in whatever form of child's pose feels most comfortable for you. And so here you may feel some pressure in the hips, maybe in the inner leg line, in the hip flexors. You might feel some compression in the hip flexors, maybe a stretch across the top of your thighs, your quads. You might feel a spreading and almost like a sliding of the low back. Maybe an expansion across the low back and all the way up and down the spine as you round over towards the floor. Making sure that you can take some deep inhales and exhales, maybe even feeling the ribs contract and expand against maybe your thighs. Notice if you take some deeper inhales, how your lungs almost become like wings and flare your ribs out from side to side. This shape can be a grounding and supportive posture since it's lower to the ground and the body almost cocoons in itself, and all of our major organs are, in that torso region, with the exception, of course, of our head, our brain, all those vital organs, things. But this shape allows us to really just kind of curl inward and protect that part of ourselves that is a bit more vulnerable physically and maybe even emotionally. So this shape can be a nice posture to do maybe before bed, or if you notice that maybe your worries have been a bit increased lately, or you're feeling maybe a sense of a lack of stability or a lack of control. Just curling up into a little ball, basically. Almost like going into a cocoon for a little bit. You'll be here for less than a minute. Perhaps there's room to maybe take some deeper and more expansive inhales and exhales, really feeling that flaring out of your ribs as you breathe in and that pulling in and contraction of the ribs as you breathe out. Take a long, deep, full breath in. And as you exhale, gently straighten through the arms. Maybe bring the knees together for a moment and then just sit upright. You can keep a block in between your ankles to sit on, or keep that pillow or blanket on your heels to provide some cushion. And then maybe with eyes closed or a soft gaze a few feet in front of you, just take a few moments to scan your body. Noticing if there's any areas of tension or clenching or holding. Allowing your jaw to be soft, your face to be soft. Allowing your shoulders to melt alongside you. Your limbs to be heavy and relaxed. Allowing yourself the luxury to find some semblance of relaxation, rest, and peace for a few moments and for the duration of our practice together today. Breathing deeply, perhaps letting each exhale release any of that tension that you might be holding on to, consciously or unconsciously. Maybe even sighing out the mouth or moaning, groaning, whatever feels right for you. It's a safe, non-judgmental space. Nobody's watching. And then as you feel ready, I'm going to turn just so that you can see me, but you'll stay in that same shape. And you'll take your knees wide, maybe about gnat's width distance apart. You'll begin to lower your torso down, but before you get fully onto the ground, you'll wing your left arm out to the side, maybe opening through the chest, arm reaches towards the ceiling. Then you'll exhale, thread your arm underneath your right, maybe coming to rest. Oh, it's hard to see. Maybe coming to rest on that left shoulder. If the floor feels far away from your left shoulder, you can always bring a book or a block underneath that shoulder. Your right hand can press into the floor near your face or near your left arm. That right arm could also reach towards the front of your mat, over your head, or maybe wrap around your torso, coming to rest across your low back. But this option is going to increase the pressure in your hips and therefore maybe provide more of a stretch across the tops of the thighs, maybe more of a sensation of compression in the inner hip. So just be mindful of that. That left arm should be coming straight out from the shoulder underneath you. Gaze can be towards your left hand, or maybe forehead rests on a block, a book, or the floor. And so here in this shape, it's twisting tadpole. And so similarly to child's pose, you might notice a stretch across the back, maybe a spreading of the shoulder blades as they melt towards the floor. You might feel a sensation of a twist through your torso, maybe in particular along the left side of your ribs. Can you breathe deeply so that you might even feel again that sensation of your rib cage pressing against your thighs as you breathe in? Belly button pulling gently back towards your navel as you breathe out. If at any point anything is numb or tingling, you can gently unwind yourself or ease out of the shape, coming back into a neutral child's pose. We won't be here for too much longer. Take another long, deep, full breath in. Listen carefully as you exhale. Press through your right hand so that you can wing your left arm back out towards the side, maybe opening up again through the chest. And then resting. Maybe bringing the knees together for a moment, coming to sit upright for just a moment. Taking a few nourishing, cleansing breaths. Notice if you feel a difference between your left side and your right, specifically in your shoulders. And then as you feel ready, we'll transition to the opposite side. So bringing those knees again about as wide as your mat. And then we'll we'll fold our torso forward gently and then wing our right arm out to the side, maybe opening through the chest, reaching that right arm towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, thread that right arm underneath the left, coming to rest on that right shoulder. Maybe bringing a block or a book underneath that shoulder if it's a bit too much pressure. Wherever you are, your right arm will be coming straight out from the shoulder. Your left hand can be pressing into the floor in front of you, or maybe reaching long over your head towards the front of your mat. Alternatively, your left arm could wrap across your low back, but that will apply some extra weight to your hips, which might increase that sensation of compression in the inner hips. Gaze can be towards your right hand, or even, if you'd like, forehead can rest on your mat. That might be a bit of too much of a twist across the neck and the spine. Wherever you are, ensure that you have the ability to breathe deeply through your ribs, expanding your lungs fully. might feel a gentle twist through your torso, maybe along the right side of your ribs, right side of your waist. You might feel some pressure in that outer right shoulder. And certainly if at any point you experience any tingling or numbness, you can gently unwind yourself, coming back into a child's pose or easing slightly out of the twist. And you've been breathing quite deeply for a long period of time now, almost half the class, believe it or not. Can you maybe even expand the breath just a bit more so that you could really take some fuller inhales and exhales, breathing into the full capacity of your lungs. You might even gently lengthen the exhale because that can actually help activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is that rest and digest part of our body. Sighing out the mouth or moaning, groaning, anything that helps relieve any lingering tension. Be in this shape for about a minute or so. And you recall from the first side that this shape, this posture, this discomfort is temporary. And the in practice, I believe, really does teach us that everything is temporary. And so the relief that you might experience in a few moments when we unwind and come out of this shape is just as temporary as the pressure or discomfort you might feel in that right shoulder. Take a long, full inhale. Gently exhale, press into the floor with your left arm, then wing that right arm out to the side, reaching towards the ceiling. Gently lower your hands, and then you can return to a child's pose if you'd like, maybe letting the hands come by your heels, resting your forehead down. Or you may sit upright, maybe bringing a block in between your ankles or book to sit your hips on. But find what works best for you and what shape your body maybe most needs in this moment. Maybe eyes are closed, or maybe you have a soft gaze just a few feet in front of you on the floor. You'll notice that in between sides we'll pause. Maybe in between shapes we pause. And it is intentional. This is known as the rebound or resonance pose. So these neutral shapes that we take in the in-between moments allow the body to return to its homeostasis or return to its habitual shape. Gives a chance for the connective tissues to settle in the body, as well as the nervous system to settle in the body. Whenever you feel ready, wherever you are, if you're in a child's pose, gently coming up to all fours. If you are seated on your heels, again, coming into all fours, a tabletop position, maybe bringing a blanket underneath your knees. And so knees will be underneath the hips, fingers will be spread wide, wrists underneath your shoulders, and then just at your own pace, move through arching and rounding the spine, moving with your breath. Each inhale allows you to drop the belly, pull the heart through the shoulders, arching the spine. Each exhale, you push the floor away, round the spine. Imagine you can almost pull your nose toward your heart. You might invite in some movement, maybe wiggling the hips from side to side, moving the torso. Maybe sitting back toward your heels or arching forward. Maybe letting the head drop, wiggling the body from side to side, just finding whatever fluid movement feels good right now. Move through a couple more rounds of this cat-cow, the arching and rounding of the spine. And then whenever you feel ready, coming to a neutral tabletop for just a moment. And then you might want your blocks or books at the top of your mat. And you'll walk your hands forward just a little bit and then bring your left foot to your left thumb. And you'll shimmy your right leg back a bit just so that the knee is not directly underneath the hip. And the blocks or books can be useful here to prop on either side of your left foot. I know my head's getting cut off. And you might stay here with a long spine. Or you might actually bring both blocks to the inside of your left foot, maybe resting on your forearms. This might be quite a bit of pressure on the inner hips as well as the top of your right thigh, your quad. This is dragon pose, which is also similar to lizard pose in typical vinyasa yoga classes. But in this shape, your hips are moving forward and down. And again, you could remain with an upright spine that is going to have a little bit of an arch in the low back. Or you can fold forward, rounding forward, maybe forearms or hands on blocks, or potentially hands on the floor, forearms on the floor. And I'll encourage you to not find your deepest expression just yet, because we're going to be here, believe it or not, for a few moments, few minutes. And so finding that 4 or 5 out of 10 on a scale of discomfort. You might allow that left foot to come onto the side, the long edge of your foot opposite your arch, winging the left knee out to the side a little bit. You might experiment with that. Or you can keep the leg upright, foot planted, left foot planted firmly on the floor. Allow your jaw to be soft, your forehead, your whole face to be soft, eyes to be relaxed. Can you relax the muscles in your legs and really allow the bones to support you here? Your arms are doing some of the work by keeping your torso upright. Can you relax your knees, your feet, your ankles, your glutes, your thighs? Allow your hips to be heavy and melting towards the floor. You might even let your head dangle in between your arms. This is a really nice pose to sigh out the mouth or groan. So I know it can be, for some folks, pretty intense. We'll be here only for about another minute, so you've got this. So while the sensation may be lessening or intensifying wherever you are, adjust yourself if need be. So that might mean coming up to straight arms or hands on blocks. It might mean rounding a bit more forward, but finding what works for you. You've got less than 30 seconds here. Great job. Take a deep, full breath in. Exhale, straighten the arms, and then begin to sit your hips back towards your right heel, straightening through that left leg. Ooh, hello, inner hip and the back of that left leg. And you might flex your toes up towards the ceiling, maybe kind of shimmy the hips from side to side just to see if you can find some of a stretch across the back of that left leg. And then just for a moment, swing your left leg back to meet your right, and then maybe sit back into a child's pose. Maybe the knees are close together to support your torso. Maybe the arms wrap alongside you or they extend forward on your mat. And in whatever shape you take, can you allow your torso, your arms, your legs to be heavy and fully supported by the mat beneath you? As you feel ready, big breath in. Exhale, push the floor away. Come back into that tabletop position. Make sure that you've got your blocks or books towards the front of your mat on whatever height might be useful. Knees or hips width distance apart, wrists are underneath the shoulders, and maybe take a few rounds of cat-cow again on your own, just rinsing out the spine. You might hear some cracking and popping, and that's hopefully okay. But in yin yoga, that's a sign that you've targeted the connective tissues in the body. So you may have noticed it already, but perhaps in coming out of some of these shapes, you feel a bit achy or sore. That is also a sign that you've targeted those connective tissues in the body. So when you feel complete, we'll move on to the right side. So bringing your right foot forward so that It's in between your hands, maybe blocks underneath or books underneath each hand. And then you'll shimmy your left leg back so that the knee is not directly underneath the hip. And you might stay upright. Again, I know my head's getting cut off. You might stay upright with a long spine, or maybe you kind of round your torso over that front right knee. If you did so on the other side, you can bring both blocks or your hands or books to the inside of your right foot. And you might stay upright with a long spine, or maybe come down to forearms. Alternatively, and this is available at any point if you have the flexibility, you could also come to forearms on the mat, or hands on the mat, arms straight. But finding what works for you, and also knowing that your body is different and not symmetrical, and therefore you might find more range of motion or less range of motion on one side than the other, and that's totally appropriate and normal. Your hips are heavy and moving forward and down. You might allow the head to hang heavy, rounding your spine. Here you might feel some stretch or pressure in the top of your left thigh, or maybe in the inner left hip. There might be some stretching or pressure across the inner thighs, the inner leg line, maybe the back of the right foot or right leg, You can always wing that right foot onto its side, coming onto the sort of razor's edge of your outer right foot, sorry, trying to mirror y'all. Maybe wing the right knee, right knee out to the side. Wherever you are, can you breathe into any sensation that you may or may not be experiencing in your body? Can you breathe out any discomfort that you may be experiencing? Allow your jaw to be soft, muscles in your legs to relax and melt towards the earth. Allow your bones to support you. While your arms are using some effort to keep your torso upright, can the rest of your body just gently soften, even 3%? We'll be here for less than a minute. So adjust yourself as needed. That might mean adjusting the height of your blocks or your books. Maybe it means straightening through the arms or rounding a bit more forward, whatever you find that your body needs. Sighing out the mouth if it feels useful. Take a big, deep breath in. Exhale, gently sit your right hip back towards your left heel, straightening through that right leg. Holy moly, what a relief. You might flex your right toes up towards the ceiling just to increase the stretch you feel across the right calf muscle, the back of your right thigh, hamstring. And then gently begin to walk yourself forward so that you can swing your right leg to meet your left. And then you might take a child's pose if you want, but alternatively, you could come to sit on the edge of your blanket. Ooh, there's some popping happening in my body right now. Again, sign that you've targeted those connective tissues if you hear any popping. And you can, once you're seated on the edge of your blanket, you can extend your legs long in front of you. Let me actually turn myself. And you might want your pillow or bolster nearby. Just fix my blanket. And so one option would be to bring your hands on either side of your hips, pressing them into the floor, keeping a long spine, shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders over hips. And the crown of your head reaches towards the ceiling. Belly button pulls in gently. You can stay upright here in the staff pose, or you might round forward over your feet, over your legs, reaching towards your feet. It can be nice to bring a pillow or a bolster on top of your legs so that you can fold forward with some support. If you find that your hamstrings are a bit tight and folding forward is a bit too much of a pulling across the back of your legs, you can always bend your knees slightly, or even bring your books or your blocks underneath your knees and then round forward that way. And so finding what works for you, maybe staying with a long spine, maybe rounding forward, maybe bending the knees. But wherever you are, ensure that you have enough space across your midsection so that you can continue to breathe just as fully and deeply as you have in other poses during this class. You might use your hands to reach toward your feet, or your arms can rest alongside you if you're rounding forward. You might keep your head in line with the rest of your spine, maybe keeping it with like a soft gaze in between your feet, or allowing the head to round fully forward, resting on the pillow. And this shape, which is called caterpillar, as you may have already noticed, you might feel a stretch across the back of your legs. Maybe even a stretch or some pressure in the ankles. If you're rounding your spine forward, you might feel an elongation of each vertebra as you round and cascade over your legs. If your head is resting on the pillow, you might feel a stretch across the back of your neck, that cervical spine. Maybe the shoulder blades are spreading as they melt forward and over your legs. There might be a pressure or heaviness in the hips. And for those of you that might be keeping that long spine, you might feel a rooting and a grounding of the hips while the rest of your torso, your head, reaches up towards the ceiling. Again, if you're in that straight spine shape. Ensure that your shoulders are soft. Maybe pulling the shoulder blades together behind you gently just so that you can open up through the collarbones in the chest. You won't be here for too much longer. So again, just finding the shape that works for you and adjusting if you need to. Breathing in deeply wherever you are. Allowing each exhale to release any ounce of discomfort. Been here for a few minutes, so notice if anything needs to be adjusted. If you're holding or clenching anywhere, and see if you can consciously release any of that tension. You might adjust your props or remove them and fold more forward, or maybe come up to a straighter spine, but we'll be here for about a minute or so. Take a long, deep breath in. Exhale, use the arms if you're routed forward to come to an upright torso. Maybe bring the hands behind you, pull the shoulder blades together gently. Imagine you could almost point your heart towards the ceiling. Maybe let the head drop back for a moment. Slowly allow the chin to come back toward your chest. And then maybe kind of windshield wiper the legs. You might even bend your knees, bringing your feet to the edges of your mat, and then swishing or windshield wiping your knees from side to side. And then whenever you feel ready, come to lie down on your back. I know you're probably all so excited. And once you're on your back, you might bring your blanket so that it's underneath your head if you want a little bit of support. You can also not use that. But then you'll extend your legs towards the ceiling. Keep a slight bend in your knees. Let the feet be relaxed. Reach your arms up towards the ceiling, palms face in, and then allow the fingertips to drop towards your torso. You could imagine that if you were upside down, you were resting on a tree branch. This is sleeping tiger pose. We just did a lot of work in the hips and the legs. So this is a nice way to allow the blood flow to move in a different direction and give the legs a bit of a break. If at any point your arms or your legs go numb, you can always release them. And if you can, you might allow yourself to hang a bit longer. This is also a pose that can be calming for the nervous system to do before bed. You can literally put your legs up against a wall or up against your bed, your bed frame, headboard, whatever works. Two more deep, full breaths. Slowly hug your knees in toward your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Maybe curl up into a little ball. Maybe rock from side to side. Sighing out the mouth again. If you've got any tension left over. Then maybe stretch your legs long across your mat. You might bring your blanket out from underneath your head and cover yourself up. You might open up your blanket part of the way and rest it across your torso, over the hips and up to the heart. Or maybe having your pillow or bolster on top of your body at some extra weight. This is kind of a weighted blanket hack. Arms will be long alongside you. For a moment, lift your head, pull your chin toward your heart, and then lower your head back down. And just notice that that ensures that your chin and forehead are parallel with the floor. That helps protect the cervical spine, the back of your neck. And this is our final resting pose, or Shavasana, so fidget as much as you need to so that you feel comfortable. Maybe get yourself some extra layers if you need it. Allow each exhale to consciously release any lingering, holding, clenching, or tension or discomfort in your body. Having your eyes closed if it feels safe to do so, or maybe with a soft gaze. Allow every muscle and bone and ligament, all the connective tissues in your body, all of your organs, everything to lie still and heavy on your mat. Your whole body fully supported by the ground, the earth, your mat, floor beneath you. Your eyes heavy in their sockets, your forehead soft, your jaw soft. No tension in your neck. Your shoulders are heavy and melting towards the floor. ribs continue to expand and contract gently as you breathe. Belly is soft, gently rising and falling with each breath. Your hips are heavy, your legs are heavy, your ankles and your toes are relaxed. Your whole body soft, relaxed. As you feel ready, take a long, deep, really full breath in. Sigh out the mouth. Slowly start to wiggle the fingers, wiggle your toes, open and close the palms, maybe roll the ankles and the wrists. Continue to take those deep breaths, waking up the body. Gently moving any of your props over to your side. You'll curl over onto one side for a moment, maybe with your eyes closed or a soft gaze. And next, inhale, gently straighten through the arms so that you can come to sit in a cross-legged position on your mat. If you'd like, you can bring your left hand to rest over your heart, fingers spread wide. Allow your right hand to rest on top of your left, fingers spread wide, apply a gentle pressure. Lower your chin toward your chest. Take a deep, full breath in. And exhale. Again, big breath in. And exhale. Once more, big breath in. Exhale, let it go. Slowly lower your hands to your knees. Gently lift your chin, blink open your eyes, and return back to the space. Thank you so much for being here and for practicing. Please take good care of yourselves, drink some water, have some tea. It might be a little jarring to go back to the real world after this type of practice, so be gentle with yourselves. Maybe take a warm shower or hot bath, warm bath. Just take good care, wash your hands, all the things. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you next Monday at 4.